If you're living with a rabbit that boxes, lunges, kicks, growls, or even bites, you're not alone. What you're seeing isn't a bad rabbit. It's a rabbit trying to survive in the only way he knows how. Let's talk about aggression in rabbits. Aggression in domesticated rabbits can come from many different places, including fear, prior abuse, neglect, chronic stress, or improper handling. Sometimes it's even medical issues or problems with hormones spiking. Almost every rabbit I've taken in over the last 10 or more years has needed some level of rehabilitation. Many of them came from rescuers. Others came from situations that were less than kind. When I first started, I had to learn very quickly. I had to learn rabbit biology, rabbit body language, and even their psychology. One thing became clear. The behaviors I was seeing did not match the image most people have of these animals. You know, the fluffy, quiet animals from the Easter commercials. These rabbits were boxing, they were kicking, and some were even biting. And I remember thinking, why? Aren't these cute little animals supposed to be gentle and sweet? Over many years of day-to-day hands-on experience, I learned to deal with aggression in rabbits just as I learned other rehabilitation techniques. One thing I know for certain, aggression is not a baseline behavior for properly cared for domesticated rabbits, but it is a natural response for rabbits who have lived in unsafe, stressful, or painful environments. When a rabbit has harsh beginnings, aggression is often self-defense. It's not attitude. Rehabilitating a rabbit, especially one with aggression, requires one thing above all else, and that's patience. We have to meet rabbits where they are, not where we wish they were. Rabbits don't speak our language. They communicate with posture, eyes, ears, tails, breathing, and movement. When we try to force a rabbit to just behave, we usually make things worse. The same is true for various forms of discipline. It just doesn't work with a rabbit the same as it does with other animals. A rabbit's body language tells a story. We can understand that story once we learn what the rabbit is really trying to say. Are the eyes wide or are they soft? Are the ears pinned back or are they relaxed? Is the body tense or crouched? Is the rabbit ready to run away? Aggression often develops when rabbits are forced to live in cramped spaces where they have to compete for food, space, or even safety. It can also come from chronic overcaging, rough or improper handling, lack of socialization, fear and unpredictability in the environment, including loud and abrupt noises. It can come from pain or untreated health conditions or injuries. And, as mentioned before, hormonal frustration in unspayed or unneutered rabbits. The most common cause that I've seen over and over is human mishandling combined with over-confinement. Over-confinement is otherwise known as overcaging, or forcing the animal to live in crowded conditions or too small a space. I want to share a story about a rabbit named Beatrix Helena. Beatrix is a beautiful Flemish giant. She came to me when she was just over a year old. She had not been spayed. She had been overcaged and mishandled in her past. I knew a little more about her than I did most rescued rabbits, but the rescuer could only give me some basic information about her beginnings. Beatrix had been rescued from a backyard meat operation a few hours north of where I live. The beginning of her life had been spent cramped in small backyard cages. Just by observing her reactions, I knew several things almost immediately. Number one, she'd been overcaged her entire life. 2, she'd been forced to fight for food and territory. 3, she'd been picked up by her ears repeatedly. 4th, she'd also been mishandled in other ways. Her body told the story of harsh beginnings. Her behavior filled in the details. By the time I took her in, Beatrix believed she had to defend herself from humans. Her first adopter had small children, and while there are exceptions, rabbits and small children rarely mix. And that's under the best of circumstances. Rabbits are not dogs. They are fragile prey animals with sensitive nervous systems and bodies. Giving rabbits as starter pets or Easter gifts has been debunked for decades, and yet it still happens often with heartbreaking results for both children and animals. By the time Beatrix came to me, she had developed some dangerous behaviors. She boxed, she kicked, she bit. In fact, in all those years, she was only the second rabbit who ever bit me. Fortunately, by the time she was placed in my care, I had rehabilitated enough rabbits to know quite a lot about them. I had already learned something very critical. The scars you can't see are more obvious than the ones you can. With patience, respect, and time, Beatrix changed, not because she was trained, but because she finally felt safe. So let's talk about what you can do if you're dealing with a rabbit with aggression. I'm going to give you 5 practical tips for working with aggressive rabbits. Number 1, slow everything down. Move slowly, speak softly. Sit on the floor instead of looming over them. Sudden movement feels like danger to a prey animal, especially one that's been mistreated. Number 2, stop forcing interactions. Let the rabbit come to you. Don't reach into their space unless it's absolutely necessary. Consent matters, even with these animals. Over time, the rabbit will be more comfortable with you. Trust is earned in this type of situation. Number 3, respect their territory. A rabbit's enclosure should feel like a safe zone, not a place where humans constantly invade. Clean gently without cornering the rabbit, especially early on. Over time, the rabbit learns that you're not coming close to harm him. Again, a different human broke this animal's trust. Now trust has to be earned. Number 4, rule out any medical and hormonal issues. Pain changes behavior, and so do hormones. A vet check can make a world of difference in this area. Always spay and neuter a rabbit and give them plenty of time to heal. Number 5 is create predictability. Rabbits thrive on routines. Establish meal times and stay on track. Provide a consistently calm environment. The more predictable life feels to that rabbit, the less defensive he will become. Don't expect your rabbit to be your perfect pal in 1 week's time when the past years of his life have been nothing but harm or repetitive rehoming. And above all, protect him from chaos. Don't rush the rabbit. Don't ever just grab the rabbit. Minimize loud, unpredictable interactions, especially from children or people who have a really high energy level. One last thing I want to say, as gently as I can, many rabbits are still used in agriculture today. That reality exists. If an agricultural label is attached to the animal, many people will just try to justify treating them poorly. Using a rabbit or any animal for food, entertainment, labor, or otherwise is not an excuse for a life filled with fear, pain, or neglect. In this day and age, we know better, so humans should be doing better. Aggression in rabbits isn't about dominance. For them, it's about survival. Kindness matters, and so does patience. When we slow down enough to listen, rabbits will tell us exactly what they need.